Bismillah walhamdulillah wassalatu wassalamu ala rasulillah. Peace and blessings be upon him.
Have you ever felt exhausted by what people say about you? Are you tired of trying to please everyone and still feeling empty? Today, we will solve the problem of constant distraction from the noise around you and discover how focusing on yourself can bring peace, clarity, and success in life. Can sometimes feel overwhelming. The world is full of voices, some encouraging, some critical, and some meant only to distract us. But amidst all this noise, the key to real growth is not to react to every opinion, but to focus on your own journey, your own goals, and your own improvement. In life, one of the greatest challenges that a person can face is the constant presence of other people's opinions. From the moment we wake up to the moment we close our eyes at night, there is an endless stream of voices, friends, family, colleagues, acquaintances, and even strangers, each offering advice, judgment, or criticism. And while some of these voices may come with good intentions, the majority are often rooted in misunderstanding, bias, or simply the projection of their own fears and insecurities. The problem is that when we allow ourselves to be overly concerned with what others think, we begin to live a life that is not truly ours. Our energy, our focus, and our time, which are precious and finite, get consumed by trying to satisfy expectations that were never meant for us in the first place. It is a natural tendency to want approval from others. Humans are social beings, and social validation has been a part of our evolution. From childhood, we are conditioned to seek acceptance, to earn praise, and to avoid criticism. This is why when someone disapproves of our choices, we feel hurt, anxious, or even defeated. Yet, this desire for external validation, if left unchecked, becomes a trap. It chains us to the perceptions of others, making our lives dependent on opinions that are often inconsistent, fleeting, and misinformed. One day a person may admire your choices, and the next day, the same person may criticize the very same actions. If we base our self-worth and our decisions on these ever-changing reactions, we set ourselves up for constant disappointment and instability. The distraction of external opinions manifests in many subtle ways. It may appear as hesitation to take bold steps because we fear judgment. It may show up as self-doubt, questioning whether our goals are worthy enough or whether our decisions are acceptable in the eyes of others. Sometimes it can even paralyze us completely, preventing us from acting at all because the fear of criticism looms larger than the desire for progress. The irony is that while we are busy trying to live up to the expectations of others, our own dreams and ambitions slowly fade into the background. We may find ourselves trapped in a cycle of people pleasing, constantly adjusting our actions, words, and even beliefs to fit the opinions that surround us, rather than focusing on the truth of who we are and what we were created to achieve. Another dimension of this distraction is the digital age, where opinions are amplified through social media and online platforms. The constant stream of likes, comments, and shares can create an illusion of approval or disapproval that directly impacts our confidence. We compare ourselves to curated images and posts, measuring our worth not by our actions or intentions, but by the fleeting reactions of others. In this environment, external opinions become even more invasive and pervasive, invading our thoughts and dictating our emotional state. It is easy to become overwhelmed, confused, or disheartened when we place too much emphasis on what others think. The danger of giving power to external opinions is that it distracts us from what truly matters. Life is too short to be lived according to the approval or criticism of others. When we constantly measure ourselves against other people's standards, we lose touch with our own values, our own goals, and our own purpose. We begin to act not from a place of sincerity or conviction, but from a place of fear and insecurity. This fear of judgment can prevent us from pursuing education, career opportunities, personal growth, or spiritual development. It can hold us back from expressing ourselves authentically, sharing our talents, or taking the steps necessary to improve our lives. It is important to remember that people's opinions are shaped by their own experiences, limitations, and understanding. No one has the complete perspective of your journey or the unique challenges you face. While advice and guidance from trusted mentors or loved ones can be valuable, unsolicited criticism, gossip, or judgment should not dictate your life. The truth is, the world will always have opinions, and they will often conflict with one another. If you allow yourself to be swayed by each voice, you will never find consistency, peace, or direction. Instead, you must learn to filter these opinions, taking only what is constructive and letting go of the rest. Focusing on your own growth and decisions requires courage and discipline. It requires the ability to recognize the difference between guidance that benefits you and noise that distracts you. It requires patience to remain steadfast in your convictions while others may misunderstand or even criticize your choices. When you develop this inner focus, you start to reclaim your energy and your time. You no longer invest in trying to please everyone because you understand that it is impossible and unnecessary. You begin to prioritize your life, your values, and your goals, allowing external opinions to inform you only when they serve your growth, not when they derail it. The distraction of external opinions can be particularly pronounced when we are trying to make positive changes in our lives. Whether it is adopting healthier habits, pursuing a new career, or embracing a spiritual path, change often invites scrutiny. People who are comfortable in their routines may feel threatened by your progress or feel the need to comment on your choices. These opinions can be discouraging if we take them personally. But understanding that these are reflections of their perspective and not a measure of your worth allows you to stay focused. The ability to prioritize your own path over external judgments is a mark of wisdom and strength. By learning to disengage from unhelpful opinions and focusing on your own journey, you create space for personal growth, inner peace and clarity. Your life becomes defined not by the noise around you, but by the actions you take, the values you uphold, and the goals you pursue. This shift in focus allows you to make decisions with confidence, pursue your dreams without hesitation, and live authentically without regret in a world full of distractions. The ability to focus on oneself is one of the most powerful tools a person can cultivate. To focus on oneself does not mean to be selfish or self-centered. Rather, it means to recognize that the most important responsibility you have in life is to your own growth, your own well-being, and your own purpose. When a person learns to direct their energy, thoughts, and actions inward, they begin to experience a clarity and strength that cannot be shaken by external circumstances. Self-focus is the foundation of personal development, resilience, and fulfillment because it allows a person to take ownership of their life rather than being carried away by the currents of opinion, distraction, or societal pressure. The first step in harnessing the power of self-focus is understanding that your journey is unique. No one else has the same combination of talents, experiences, challenges, and potential that you do. When you constantly compare yourself to others or try to fit into molds that were never meant for you, you dilute your energy and scatter your efforts. By focusing on yourself, you begin to identify your strengths and weaknesses, your goals and ambitions, and the values that guide your decisions. This self-awareness allows you to live intentionally, making choices that align with your true purpose rather than being influenced by the expectations of others. Self-focus also brings discipline. In a world full of distractions, social media, gossip, criticism, and endless opinions, discipline is what allows a person to remain steadfast. By prioritizing your own growth, you begin to establish routines, habits, and practices that support your development. You dedicate time to learning, to reflection, to improving your skills, and to nurturing your mind, body, and soul. This discipline is not rigid or harsh, rather it is a conscious effort to invest in yourself, understanding that every action you take toward improvement compounds over time. Just as a farmer plants seeds and patiently tends to them, knowing they will grow into fruitful trees, a person who focuses on themselves nurtures their potential, knowing it will bear the fruit of success, contentment, and resilience. Another vital aspect of self-focus is mental clarity. When a person is overly concerned with external distractions, opinions, gossip, social pressures, they often lose sight of what truly matters. Their mind becomes cluttered with unnecessary thoughts, doubts, and worries. But when attention is turned inward, the mind begins to quiet down. Clarity emerges, allowing one to see goals more clearly, understand priorities, and make decisions with wisdom and confidence. This clarity is essential for navigating life's challenges because it ensures that a person responds thoughtfully rather than reacting impulsively. It allows a person to distinguish between what is truly important and what is merely noise, and it creates the mental space necessary for creativity, problem solving, and growth. Focusing on oneself also strengthens emotional resilience. Life is unpredictable and challenges are inevitable. There will always be criticism, setbacks, failures, and disappointments. But a person who has cultivated self-focus learns to anchor their sense of worth in their own actions, intentions, and values rather than in the approval or judgment of others. They become less vulnerable to discouragement because they have developed an inner standard of growth and achievement. achievement. Every mistake becomes a lesson, every challenge an opportunity to improve, and every setback a moment to pause, reflect, and continue moving forward with greater wisdom. Self-focus is also closely linked to personal responsibility. When a person is focused on themselves, they stop blaming external circumstances or other people for their difficulties. Instead, they acknowledge their own role in shaping their life. This does not mean taking responsibility for things beyond one's control, but it does mean taking charge of what can be controlled: one's mindset, effort, discipline, and choices. By doing so, a person gains empowerment. They realize that their life is not a product of random chance or the opinions of others, but a reflection of their own actions, decisions, and commitment to growth. Spiritual growth is another dimension of self-focus. When a person prioritizes their own spiritual development, they begin to cultivate patience, gratitude, empathy, and moral strength. These qualities are not only beneficial to oneself but also enrich interactions with others. By focusing on internal growth rather than external validation, a person develops a heart that is at peace, a mind that is resilient, and a soul that is aligned with higher principles. This inner alignment translates into actions that are purposeful, relationships that are meaningful, and a life that is guided by wisdom rather than distraction. It is important to note that self-focus does not mean isolation. It does not require cutting oneself off from the world or from meaningful relationships. Rather, it is a conscious choice to prioritize one's own development while engaging with others in a healthy and balanced way. It is the ability to be present, to invest in oneself, and to act intentionally, even while navigating the demands of society, work, and family. The power of self-focus lies in this balance, being aware of the world around you, yet never allowing its distractions to pull you away from your purpose, your goals, or your growth. Ultimately, the power of self-focus transforms a life from reactive to proactive. It allows a person to live intentionally, to make choices with clarity, to build resilience, and to nurture the mind, body, and soul. It frees a person from the chains of external opinions and allows them to embrace the unique journey that is theirs alone. When a person focuses on themselves, they create a foundation for success, peace, and fulfillment that cannot be shaken by the noise of the world. In life, one of the most transformative decisions a person can make is to focus on themselves. This is not an act of selfishness or ego, but rather an intentional shift of energy toward personal growth, clarity, and purpose. Many people spend their lives reacting to external circumstances, opinions, and expectations, believing that the path to happiness and success lies in pleasing others or living up to their standards. Yet, the truth is that true progress and fulfillment emerge only when a person learns to focus inward, to invest in their own character, skills, and mindset, and to take responsibility for their own journey. Self-focus begins with awareness. It requires recognizing that your life is yours alone and that you have the responsibility to shape it in alignment with your goals, values, and potential. This awareness allows you to understand your strengths and weaknesses, to identify areas for improvement, and to prioritize the actions that will move you forward. When you are focused on yourself, you no longer waste precious time worrying about how others perceive you or attempting to meet expectations that were never meant for you. Instead, your energy is dedicated to building the habits, mindset, and discipline that will transform your life. Focusing on yourself also cultivates discipline. In a world full of distractions, maintaining attention on your goals requires persistence and self-control. Social media, gossip, peer pressure, and criticism constantly pull us in different directions, but those who practice self-focus learn to set boundaries and protect their time and energy. They dedicate themselves to learning, growing, and acting with intention. They create routines that support their personal development, whether it is reading, exercising, studying, reflecting, or practicing spiritual and emotional growth. Every small effort compounds over time, building a foundation for long-term success and inner strength. Self-focus sharpens mental clarity. When a person is constantly preoccupied with what others think, their mind becomes cluttered with unnecessary worries, doubts, and fears. This mental noise prevents clear thinking and hinders decision-making. However, when attention is turned inward, the mind gains focus and clarity. It becomes easier to understand priorities, set meaningful goals, and make decisions with confidence. Clarity also allows for better problem-solving, creativity, and emotional regulation. When your mind is free from distractions, you can approach life with a sense of purpose and direction, making choices that reflect your true intentions rather than the influence of external voices. Another important aspect of self self-focus is emotional resilience. Life is filled with challenges, setbacks, and criticism, and a person who relies on external validation becomes vulnerable to discouragement. When focus is placed on personal growth, however, setbacks are seen as opportunities to learn, mistakes become lessons, and criticism serves only as a chance to strengthen one's resolve. Emotional resilience grows when a person anchors their self-worth in their own efforts, actions, and values rather than the approval of others. This resilience allows them to continue moving forward with confidence, even in the face of difficulties or opposition. Self-focus also fosters personal responsibility. When a person prioritizes themselves, they stop blaming circumstances, others, or misfortune for their struggles. They acknowledge their role in shaping their own life, understanding that while they cannot control every situation, they can control their choices, reactions, and attitude. This sense of responsibility empowers them to take charge of their destiny and to act in alignment with their goals. By focusing on what they can control, they create momentum and progress that is steady and sustainable. Spiritual and moral growth is another key benefit of self-focus. When a person prioritizes their inner development, they cultivate qualities such as patience, gratitude, empathy, and integrity. These qualities not only enrich their own life, but also positively impact the people around them. By focusing on internal growth rather than seeking external validation, a person strengthens their character, deepens their understanding of life, and aligns their actions with principles that are meaningful and lasting. Spiritual focus allows a person to remain grounded, calm, and wise even when the external world is chaotic or critical. Self-focus also encourages independence and self-reliance. When you invest in yourself, you no longer rely excessively on the opinions, approval, or support of others to validate your choices. You learn to trust your judgment, to follow your intuition, and to take actions that reflect your personal goals. This independence does not mean isolation. Rather, it creates the ability to engage with the world from a place of strength, confidence, and authenticity. By focusing on your own path, you cultivate the courage to stand firm in your values, pursue your ambitions, and live with integrity regardless of external pressures. Furthermore, self-focus is the foundation for long-term success. People who dedicate themselves to self-improvement, self-awareness, and self-discipline tend to experience growth that is sustainable and meaningful. Every investment in knowledge, skill, and character pays dividends over time. The ability to focus on oneself allows a person to make decisions with foresight, to act strategically, and to persevere with determination. Instead of being reactive or easily influenced by the changing opinions of others, they become proactive, intentional, and resilient, building a life that is reflective of their true potential in today's fast-paced world. Silence has become a rare and undervalued commodity. People often mistake silence for weakness or inactivity, yet those who understand its power know that silence is one of the most transformative tools for personal growth, clarity, and spiritual strength. Silence is not merely the absence of noise, it is an intentional space created within the mind and heart to reflect, observe, and connect with one's inner self. When combined with reflection, silence allows a person to step back from the chaos of life, evaluate their choices, and gain insight into the direction they are headed. It is through this quiet contemplation that wisdom emerges, decisions become more deliberate, and the distractions of the world lose their grip on the mind. Reflection begins with self-awareness. In silence, a person can examine their thoughts, emotions, and actions without external influence. The world is filled with distractions, social media, conversations, advertisements, the opinions of others that pull attention outward. When a person intentionally chooses silence, they turn their attention inward. They begin to ask themselves the questions that truly matter. What am I striving for? Are my actions aligned with my values? Am I using my time wisely? Am I growing in the ways that truly matter for my personal and spiritual life? These questions cannot be answered in the midst of noise, but in silence they take shape and clarity begins to emerge. Silence also allows the mind to rest. Continuous exposure to noise, both literal and metaphorical, exhausts mental and emotional energy. Thoughts become scattered and focus is diminished. When a person practices silence, they create an opportunity to reset their mental state, to let go of unnecessary stress and distractions, and to regain control over their attention. This mental rest is not passive, it is a deliberate act of self-care that strengthens concentration, enhances creativity, and improves decision making. In the stillness of silence, a person can notice patterns in their behavior, recognize areas for improvement, and cultivate a mindset that is grounded and resilient. Reflection in silence also fosters emotional intelligence. Many people go through life reacting impulsively to situations because they have not taken the time to pause and process their emotions. Silence provides the space to understand why one feels a certain way, to examine the root causes of anger, fear, or frustration, and to respond with wisdom rather than emotion. It allows a person to identify triggers, patterns, and tendencies that may be harmful or unproductive. Through reflection, a person can make conscious choices about how they wish to respond, transforming challenges into opportunities for growth and interaction into opportunities for understanding. Furthermore, silence and reflection strengthen resilience against external distractions. Life is full of noise, criticism, gossip, conflicting advice, and societal pressure. These external influences can cloud judgment and disrupt focus, especially when a person has not developed the habit of turning inward. By practicing silence, a person learns to filter out unnecessary noise and to trust their own inner voice. Reflection enables them to evaluate external input carefully, accepting only what aligns with their values and goals while discarding what is unhelpful or misleading. This ability to discern and prioritize is critical for personal development, allowing a person to remain steadfast in their path even when the world around them is chaotic. Silence also deepens spiritual awareness. In many spiritual traditions, quiet contemplation is a path to connecting with the divine, understanding one's purpose, and cultivating humility and gratitude. When a person spends time in silence, they are more attuned to their inner state, to the guidance that comes from reflection, and to the lessons embedded in everyday experiences. This spiritual dimension of silence nurtures patience, compassion, and wisdom. It reminds a person that life is not solely about external achievements or approval, but about nurturing the heart, aligning actions with values, and finding meaning in the journey. Practicing silence and reflection does not require isolation. It can be integrated into daily life through small intentional pauses, moments of stillness before starting the day, periods of contemplation after significant events, or quiet reflection during nature walks. These moments, though brief, accumulate over time, cultivating mental clarity, emotional stability, and spiritual strength. By making space for silence, a person learns to slow down, observe their thoughts and actions, and act deliberately rather than reactively. Additionally, silence enhances learning and personal growth. When the mind is constantly occupied with external noise, it has little capacity for deep understanding. Reflection allows a person to process experiences, extract lessons, and internalize wisdom. Every decision, mistake, and success can be evaluated in the quiet, revealing insights that are not apparent in the moment of action. Through consistent reflection, a person develops a greater understanding of themselves, their values, and their purpose, which in turn informs better decision making and more intentional action. Silence and reflection also cultivate patience. In a world that often demands immediate responses and gratification, taking the time to pause can feel uncomfortable or counterintuitive. Yet it is in these moments of deliberate stillness that a person gains perspective, weighs options carefully, and approaches life with calmness and composure. Patience nurtured through reflection ensures that choices are not made impulsively or under pressure, but with wisdom and foresight. It allows a person to act from strength rather than urgency, to respond thoughtfully rather than react emotionally, and to navigate life with balance and poise. Life is filled with criticism, judgment, and disapproval from others, and one of the greatest challenges a person can face is learning how to navigate these forces without losing confidence, purpose, or peace of mind. Criticism is inevitable. No matter how well-intentioned or diligent a person is, there will always be voices that question, doubt, or criticize their actions, choices, or character. Some criticism is constructive, aimed at helping a person improve, while much of it is rooted in misunderstanding, envy, or personal bias. The key to growth, however, lies not in avoiding criticism, which is impossible, but in developing resilience, the inner strength to withstand it, learn from it, and continue moving forward with clarity and purpose. Resilience in the face of criticism begins with perspective. Understanding that not all opinions are accurate or valuable allows a person to filter feedback effectively. Many times, criticism reflects the critic more than the person being criticized. It may stem from their fears, insecurities, limitations, or misunderstandings. When a person recognizes this, they no longer internalize every negative remark or let it erode their confidence. Instead, they learn to evaluate criticism objectively, taking what is useful for improvement while discarding what is irrelevant or harmful. This perspective fosters emotional stability and ensures that external negativity does not disrupt internal growth. A crucial component of resilience is self-awareness. A person who knows their values, goals, and intentions is less likely to be swayed by criticism. Self-awareness provides a foundation of confidence, allowing an individual to assess their actions against their own standards rather than the fluctuating opinions of others. When criticism is received, a self-aware person asks thoughtful questions. Is this valid feedback? Does this align with my goals and values? What can I learn from this? By examining criticism through the lens of self-awareness, a person transforms what could have been a discouragement into an opportunity for reflection and growth. Resilience also involves managing emotional responses. It is natural to feel hurt, defensive, or frustrated when faced with criticism, especially when it seems unfair or harsh. However, those who cultivate resilience learn to pause before reacting. They create space to process their emotions, separating the emotional impact from the practical lessons that may be present. This pause allows for thoughtful responses rather than impulsive reactions, and it helps a person maintain dignity, composure, and clarity. Emotional regulation in the face of criticism is a sign of maturity and strength, reflecting the ability to remain centered even amidst external pressures. Another important aspect of resilience is perseverance. Criticism can be discouraging, and if a person allows it to dominate their thoughts, it may lead to inaction or self-doubt. Resilient individuals, however, maintain focus on their goals and continue working diligently despite criticism. They understand that every journey comes with obstacles, and criticism is simply one of the many challenges encountered along the way. By persevering, they demonstrate commitment to their purpose and create momentum that eventually silences doubt, both internal and external. Perseverance strengthens character, builds confidence, and proves that one's value is determined not by the opinions of others but by the consistent effort and integrity of one's actions. Criticism also offers a valuable opportunity for learning. While not all criticism is accurate or helpful, some of it contains insights that can enhance personal growth. A resilient person is open to constructive feedback, recognizing that even well-intentioned criticism may highlight blind spots, habits, or behaviors that need attention. By approaching criticism with humility and a willingness to learn, a person transforms potential negativity into a tool for self-improvement. This mindset shifts the perception of criticism from something threatening to something empowering, allowing it to become a catalyst for growth rather than a source of despair. Building resilience in the face of criticism also strengthens self-confidence. Confidence does not mean ignoring feedback or assuming one is perfect. Rather, it means having faith in one's abilities, values, and potential while remaining open to improvement. A confident person does not crumble under criticism. Instead, they weigh it thoughtfully, maintain their composure, and act in alignment with their goals. Confidence allows a person to move forward boldly, even when faced with opposing opinions, and ensures that their progress is guided by their own principles rather than the judgment of others. Resilience requires cultivating a long-term vision. Criticism often focuses on the present moment, highlighting mistakes, flaws, or limitations. Without perspective, it is easy to become discouraged and lose sight of the broader journey. Resilient individuals, however, maintain a vision of their goals, understanding that setbacks and criticism are temporary and do not define their ultimate potential. By keeping the bigger picture in mind, a person remains motivated and continues to act with intention, knowing that every challenge is an opportunity to grow stronger, wiser, and more capable. It is also important to surround oneself with support while maintaining resilience. Constructive advice, mentorship, and encouragement from trusted individuals can help balance criticism and provide perspective. Resilience does not mean facing every challenge alone. It means having the strength to stand firm, to learn from experiences, and to integrate guidance wisely. The ability to discern whose input is valuable and whose is not is an essential skill, allowing a person to protect their energy and maintain focus on what truly matters. Ultimately, resilience in the face of criticism transforms obstacles into opportunities, challenges into lessons, and negativity into motivation. It empowers a person to live authentically, to pursue their goals with determination, and to cultivate inner peace regardless of external circumstances. Those who develop this resilience understand that that criticism is not a reflection of their worth, but a reflection of the complex world around them, and that their true strength lies in their ability to rise above it. As we reflect on these lessons, it becomes clear that the journey of life is not about pleasing others, avoiding criticism, or chasing every fleeting opinion. It is about turning inward, focusing on your own growth, and nurturing the strength, wisdom, and clarity that lie within you. By understanding the distraction of external opinions, you free yourself from unnecessary pressures and begin to live according to your true purpose. By embracing the power of self-focus, you invest in your mind, heart, and soul, building habits and resilience that carry you forward even in the face of challenges. By practicing silence and reflection, you create space to think clearly, respond wisely, and grow spiritually and emotionally. And by cultivating resilience in the face of criticism, you rise above negativity, learning from feedback while remaining steadfast in your values and goals. Life will always have noise, distractions, and challenges, but when you choose to focus on yourself, stay silent when needed, and act with intention, you empower yourself to live with confidence, purpose, and peace. Each step you take towards self-awareness, discipline, and inner strength becomes a step toward a life defined not by the world around you, but by the person you are becoming.